Hello, I'm Sergeant Goodchild, and I am a distributor for Mind Alive. I carry their full line of audio-visual entrainment machines, but my favorite machine is their Delight Pro, which is an audio-visual entrainment machine combined with cranial electrical stimulation, which, in my opinion, makes for a much more versatile machine. How do you use an audio-visual entrainment device? Starting with just some of its basic operational features. I know that a lot of people are kind of a little bit technophobic, and this is a piece of technology. It's a relatively simple one to operate. I want to make sure that you are comfortable in operating it, because then I know that it's going to get done more frequently with your child. So the first thing to know is that when you put the battery in, it's a 9-volt battery. I almost always use mine exclusively with battery because it has one less set of wires for me to worry about, and I generally always use my audio-visual entrainment machine in conjunction with the cranial electrical stimulation. And the cranial electrical stimulation can only, that aspect of the machine can only be done if the machine is operating solely off of the battery for safety reasons. You'll notice that when you open the battery cover in the back, that there's a very clear diagram of how to insert your 9-volt battery. Please do not reverse the polarities. Make sure that you put the battery in according to the diagram on the unit. The Omni screens, or the glasses part of your audio-visual entrainment unit, are going to get plugged in to the icon that clearly shows the glasses in the bottom left-hand corner on the side of the unit. One end gets plugged in there. The other end gets plugged along the bottom edge of the left side of the glasses. If there is a weak point to an audio-visual entrainment machine, the part that is most likely going to get damaged by rough handling by your child or your spouse or possibly even yourself is the point at where the cord plugs into the glasses, again along that bottom left corner. When I travel with my unit, I make sure that I unplug that just so that there can't be too much leverage put on that. You know, we don't want to wiggle that too much. Generally, that can be repaired, and if it's no longer in warranty, that repair is about a $35 repair, not including shipping and everything else. If the glasses need to be repaired in total, that can be a little bit more costly because you may be buying yourself a new pair of glasses. So before I go any further, I will just take this moment to say, if you're going to rehearse anything with your child about this audio-visual entrainment machine, I would tell them to take a lot of care in how they put on and take off the glasses. So a lot of people, when they have the glasses on, this is what the glasses look when they're on. A lot of people would have a tendency to take the glasses and rip them this way across the face. We don't want to do that. We want to grab them here, and we want to, when we put them on and we take them off, we want to put them on and take them off without flexing them. So that might be something to review with your child, or just be conscious of when you are putting this equipment, taking it on and off your child. The next icon, which is just above it, is an icon for the headphones. Your audio-visual entrainment machine comes with a nice pair of standard headphones. The thing I ask about the headphones is that you are very careful and make sure that the left headphone is over your left ear and the right headphone is over your right ear. Now above that icon is a place for you to plug in an external auditory device. So what I really enjoy when I'm working with kids and doing audiovisual entrainment, and one of the things that I will encourage you to do is go to the library and get a book on CD. A lot of kids, will enjoy Peter Pan, or they'll enjoy The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Charlotte's Web, the Magic Treehouse series, but find a good book on CD. The port, it looks kind of like a speaker. It's got lines going outward. I always actually think it kind of looks a little bit like a battle axe or something, but what you would do is, let's say you were using a CD player or a Walkman or an MP3 player, your phone, whatever it might be. You would take there's another jack that's provided with your machine. It just comes with it. It's part of the cost. And it's a double-ended jack. One end of that jack would go into the headphones port on your player, be it an MP3 player, CD player, whatever it might be. And the other end goes into that third icon that's in the middle of the left side of your AVE device. The thing to know about that is that your child can be listening to something else, be it the book on tape or some meditative music, something. I don't want them listening to the Black Flag or Megadeth or Metallica while they're doing an audiovisual entrainment machine. They can be listening to certainly Mozart, Beethoven, anything like that, but most kids aren't going to be interested in that. But if they do have some calming, meditative type of soundtrack that they enjoy, that is perfectly fine for an audiovisual entrainment session. As I said, the book on tape is my favorite. But the volume of your book or your music that you're playing through your MP3 player is going to be controlled by your MP3 player. The volume of the beats and the heartbeats and the binaural tones that are playing through the headphone are still going to be controlled by your AVE device. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you are finding a balance. They should be able, with a little bit of focus, to still be able to hear the heartbeat and the tones in the background. But it can be background. In the foreground, they can be listening to their book on tape or their calming music. There's a website out there called Story Nori, N-O-R-Y, so Story, N-O-R-Y, .com, and you can get free downloadable books through them. And some of them are lesson-based, so teaching specific skills, like self-esteem, for instance. So just be aware of that. All right, the next icon up is it says 9V, and that is where you can plug in your AC adapter. So rather than running your unit off of a 9-volt battery, you can run your unit off of a wall outlet. The only thing that you can't do on a wall outlet is you are not able to use cranioelectrical stimulation. Cranioelectrical stimulation are two little clips that go onto the bottoms of the earlobes, and we have a yellow one that clips onto the left earlobe and a blue that clips onto the right, because just like our audiovisual entrainment, the cranioelectrical stimulation can be field dependent. So we want to make sure that we're keeping everything consistent. What's happening in the left visual fields is happening in the left ear as far as the tones are concerned, and the left ear as far as the cranioelectrical stimulation is concerned. The cranioelectrical stimulation delivers a 1 to 2 milliamp current into the earlobe that, when set at its low settings, cannot even be felt, and yet still has a powerful effect on the individual, the user of the unit. Because we're talking about a 1 to 2 milliamp current, we can only have that current be generated by a 9-volt battery. We cannot have that current generated by 120 volts of alternating current. So as a safety feature, the audiovisual entrainment device will not allow you to use the cranial electrical stimulation if your unit is plugged into a wall outlet. So just be aware and alert of that. So now that everything's plugged in and everything is presumably set up, it's time to begin your first session. And to do that, we want to power up the unit. You power up the unit by hitting the power button that is on the lower kind of right side of your AVE device. And when that happens, let's say your unit is not plugged into the wall. When you initially turn on that power, if you're looking at the screen, you will see that the digital display that goes from 1 to 5 in the center lower portion of your AVE unit, that lights up. When that initially lights up, it is telling you the strength that remains in your battery. If you deplete the battery all the way to 2, it is not guaranteed that you have enough battery in your 9 volts to get you through an entire session. So if you power up the unit and that display only displays 1 and 2, it is time to get rid of your 9-volt battery and replace it with a fresh battery. So it is good to take note of that when you're initially turning on the machine. Of course, if you turn it on and you miss it, you can just turn it off and turn it back on again, and it will show it to you once again. Now, once the unit is powered up with the power button, you will notice that in addition to being a display, the display of 1 through 5, you have a couple of additional digital displays here. That includes a series of icons that goes from a lightning bolt to a kind of someone who's seated in almost like a Buddha type of posture. The third icon is a light bulb, and then you've got your sleep programs, which is a moon and a star. You've got your feel better mood booster programs, which are a yellow smiley face, and then you have a plus sign, which is where I have put all of your an additional 5 sessions if you have purchased this machine through me. So to cycle through those, so let me back up. Each one of those icons, of which there are 6, has 5 programs associated with them. The first thing to do when you power up your machine is to decide what type of session you're going to do. So if you're going to do a meditative type of session, you're going to use that power button to cycle through. You use the power button to cycle through all of your icons, all of your group icons. So you will need to press that power button additional times to cycle and get to whichever group of sessions you like. Once you have chosen your grouping, you need to pick your individual session. And now that lit display that goes from 1 to 5 is telling you your session designator, essentially. So if you wanted to do, one of my favorite programs is the Meditate number 4. Use your power button to get it over to the guy who looks like he's seated in a Buddha position. And then you can use either the volume or the intensity button to just pick your session number. So I would use the intensity button, for example, and I would just hit it until I now have my Buddha lit up and my number 4 lit up. There on the left side of the screen, you'll see a button with a musical note in it. You select your session and initiate it by hitting that music button. You will notice that the session number will flash a number of times to give you an opportunity to confirm this is the session that you want to do. And then all of those numbers, 1 through 5, will begin to scroll upwards. And this lets you know that the session is beginning. Now, the equipment is designed for single user use. So it takes a while. It gives you, presumably you're not wearing glasses when you're doing all of this, and probably for that matter not the headphones either. So it gives you several seconds to put your headphones on, put your eyeglasses on, recline in a couch before the session really starts coming up to full speed. I'd say it probably takes somewhere between 15 and 30 seconds to get the program running at full speed. So there's a little bit of time if you're doing this by yourself to kind of get yourself positioned and comfortable. And obviously when you're doing an audiovisual entrainment session, you should be in a comfortable position. This is not something that you want to do standing, and this is not something that you want to do even seated. This is something you want to do in a reclined position. So your session is up and it's running. Now what you can do is you can use your volume and your intensity buttons to adjust the settings to what you feel is most comfortable for you or for your child. So the volume button is going to control the volume of the binaural beat and the heartbeat that you can hear in the background. The intensity button is going to control how bright or dim the lights are. And again, you know, obviously the up arrows of both of those features are going to make it either louder or brighter, or it's going to make it less loud, and it's going to make the lights dimmer. So what we're looking for in an audiovisual entrainment is for a child to go into that state of deep relaxation. And in a very positive way, kind of dissociate from all of the things that are bothering them in their life, so that they can experience that deep point of relaxation that's going to allow their brains to rejuvenate. But to be rapidly brought back from that state is generally not comfortable. I've never had any problem with it. I don't specifically know of anyone who's had a problem with it, but I would not recommend when, let's say someone's 10 minutes into a session. There's a good chance that 10 minutes into a session, the person has gone into a state of deep relaxation. It would not be a good idea to simply rip off the headphones and take off the Omni screen and, you know, tell someone that they had to go run outside, you know, to pick something up or take a phone call or do whatever urgent matter has suddenly come up. What you want to do is you want to slowly bring them out. So to end a session early, you hit the power button again. And the first time you hit the power button, it's going to access an aspect of this machine called soft off. Soft off is going to gently end the program over the period of 60 to 90 seconds, depending on the settings. If everything's loud and bright, it's going to take a little bit longer to shut it down than if everything's been dimmed and quiet. But soft off makes sure that, you know, we're not jolting that person back to consciousness too quickly. When that happens, people can be left feeling nauseous, or they can get a headache, or, you know, it's just, there's nothing particularly life-threatening about it. There is something called orthostatic shock, which is, you know, we've all probably experienced it at one point or another, where you've been deeply relaxed and your heart rate's gone down and your blood pressure's gone down, and then you jump up really quickly and you can feel a little bit faint. That's a possibility with this. It's just generally overall a good idea to let someone slowly come out of it. Those are the most important aspects of how to operate your machine. Hopefully you all feel comfortable getting up and running. Anything that I haven't discussed today in the operation of this AVE CES unit is covered in the owner's manual or the user's guide. The units come with both. I look forward to serving you in the future.